Hello and welcome to Tech24. I'm Rebecca Bowering. Coming up in the programme, an act of war punishable by military force. That's how the Pentagon classifies cyber attacks after Sony, Lockheed Martin and PBS. Who's next? Tech24 delves deeper into digital sabotage. It's made a 36-year-old formerly unemployed programmer an overnight millionaire. Twitter looks after its brand and snaps up TweetDeck, software for the microblogging site's power users. And a whole lot more than game, set and match, tennis comes to life with connected TV. We take you to the French Open and IBM's first foray into television that interacts. Russia, Iran, South Korea and the United States. No country is immune to cyber attacks. In the face of ever more sophisticated computer sabotage, the Pentagon has come up with a new strategy. Major hack attacks, it says, can be classified as acts of war and warrant a military response. This according to a source who spoke to the Wall Street Journal this week. Eric Olander, our internet editor, is with me in the studio. Now, Eric, a missile down your smokestacks was the warning. Who's it aimed at?
Well, this is very important to set the terms here. When we talk about cyber attacks, a lot of people think of a 17-year-old Estonian in his bedroom launching a denial of service attack. That's not what the Pentagon is focusing on, from what we can tell. They're really talking about governments using very sophisticated tools to attack the core infrastructure of the United States. So what that means is turning off, big power systems in the United States, turning off electric systems that control traffic grids, plumbing and whatnot, and all of that. That can have measurable damage. And what the Pentagon has said is they will impose equivalent damage. So if you have deaths that occur in the United States as a result of a cyber attack, they will then have the option to respond in force. That's what they're saying. More importantly, the Pentagon, coming out publicly this week, and they're going to release this announcement next week, is not alone in this. Lots of governments are beefing up their cybersecurity and their military, cybersecurity apparatuses. So this is really part of a bigger trend.
Such as China's online Blue Army we heard about last week. Now, this information about the Pentagon comes just after an audacious assault on defence contractor Lockheed Martin. What do we know about that one?
Well, this again is one of a series of attacks that we've seen in the past few weeks. So you mentioned PlayStation and Sony's been under attack. We saw PBS, the American public broadcaster, came under attack after airing a program about WikiLeaks. So the internet was never designed to do what it's doing today. And so there are inherent vulnerabilities that exist within the system. And what we're seeing with the Lockheed attack and all of these various attacks are people taking advantages of the weaknesses in the system. And that makes it very vulnerable. And what makes it vulnerable for us is that we, as citizens all over the world, have become dependent on the infrastructure that powers all of this connectivity.
Let's talk a little bit more about Sony, the kind of latest, greatest victim of economic espionage. The PlayStation Network targeted to the disappointment of millions of gamers, and the company's also been blamed for bad handling, hasn't it?
Now, this is, again, the weaknesses. Sony did not encrypt the data. And now the big problem that a lot of people are saying is, well, who's accountable here? So Sony loses 100 million credit card accounts, and yet no one's going to jail, no one's being punished. Now, they're being punished in the court of public opinion, but that may not be enough when your personal data is compromised. So this is the big question of accountability. Who pays the price here? And at the end of the day, usually the companies and the governments don't.
And just very briefly, Apple says it's to launch iCloud, but there have been data breaches with Amazon, Microsoft, Google. Is the cloud still safe?
The cloud was never safe to begin with. It was always a myth of the industry that the cloud is safe. Be very careful when you put information up in the cloud. Google, Amazon, Apple, MSN, all of them want you to think that the cloud is safe, but inherently the only way you can have safe data is when it's right there in your hands, in your pocket, and you control it. Anything other than that has its risks.
Thanks for that, Eric. Now time to move to our tech news roundup, and Twitter is reassuring its users that their favourite add-on won't go a-changing anytime soon. Twitter has gobbled up TweetDeck, a third-party application. Reports put the price at $40 to $50 million. The startup will still be based in London. TweetDeck organises news feeds from Twitter and other social networks into columns, so you never miss a tweet. Jack Dorsey vows to invest in the service prolific tweeters now depend on. PayPal is reaching for Google's wallets in the courts. The online payment service accuses its rival of stealing trade secrets after two key executives jumped ship. PayPal filed a lawsuit just after Google unveiled plans to replace credit cards with smartphones. The web giant vows to defend itself in the battle for mobile commerce supremacy. Microsoft's board has backed Steve Ballmer, seen here with the French president, after an investor called for him to go. Hedge fund manager David Einhorn accuses the long-serving CEO of poor market decisions. Microsoft stock has declined 12% this year. Zynga's IPO is rumoured to be just around the corner. The Farmville game maker boasts 250 million active users, and February's fundraising pushed its value to around $10 billion. Those tech bubble fears are in no danger of bursting. Time now to talk gadgets. And this week, for a change, it's the girls with the gizmos. I went behind the scenes at Roland Garros. That's of course, the French Open tennis tournament that takes place here in Paris. Now, it's been partnered for the last 26 years by IBM, and they're the ones who put in place the tech infrastructure that illuminate the matches for the viewers. And what really caught our eye there was the gadget that could revolutionise the way that we watch TV. It's called téléconnecté in French, or connected TV, and it brings you enriched content on a single screen without the need for a set-top box. So what is enriched content? Well, it's watching the action live while accessing, for instance, players' bios, tournament tables, press photos, apps, or even social networks. So there's an awful lot to it. Now, Eric, what do you think of so-called smart TV? Is it nifty or is it naff?
It's not actually what I think of it. We know for a fact that it's popular because in the United States, they're far ahead of the rest of the world on this. Now, smart TV is, all the games and all the things that they'll tell you about social activity and social interaction on when you're watching TV. Most people still like to watch TV just watching TV. So the brains that go into these smart TVs, the real killer app, is not going to be typing on your computer from 10 feet away or 3 meters away. What it's really going to be is the ability to get content from all over the world, all over the web. So now in the United States, Roku is one of the main players in this space. And it's a little box for about $60, and it allows you to get hundreds of thousands of different channels from YouTube, from Netflix, from all sorts of different sources. And that's the revolution.
But there are problems with the rights to this content.
This is one of the big complications. Now, for individual producers who don't want to have any restrictions on rights, it's really, that's the YouTube kind of class of category of content. It's wonderful. But for the big movie studios, content may be available in the US and then blocked in France, may be available in Romania and blocked in the UK, and that's very frustrating to consumers. But the ability to get content when you want, exactly what you want, is very much in demand.
So this is the future of television.
It's the present of television.
And what will we see next?
You will see more and more intelligence being built into these boxes, and the prices of these boxes will continue to come down. So TV, computing, and mobile phone data will all be merged into one. It's starting to happen in the United States already.
Many thanks for your expertise, Eric Olander. Thank you to you for watching this edition of Tech24. As ever, joining the conversation on our Facebook page /Tech24, and there's more on there from behind the scenes at Roland Garros. We leave you now with some African beats. The close of the show on June the 11th. An African night concert will be held at Paris' Stade de France. The aim is to whip up support for a Facebook page called We Like the World. And it's a project that sees a French family taking off on a globe-trotting mission with a difference. They'll be staying only with people that they meet on Facebook. And all the money that they save on accommodation will go to a fund to build a girls' school in Burkina Faso. Can virtual friends exist in the real world? Well, that's what they'll be finding out. Many thanks for watching. See you again next week here on Tech24.
La nuit africaine, tape la main. Alors tout le monde, yeah!